I'm attempting to beat Halo 2 with the piano as my mouse and keyboard. And not only that, but I will also be forced to spin 3 different wheels at the start of each level. The first wheel randomly selects from the 4 difficulties in the game. The second wheel is for skulls, which are difficulty modifiers that change the game in different ways, and I have to spin this wheel 5 times to equip 5 different skulls. And for the final wheel, I added a bunch of challenges that I have to complete the entire mission with. Will I be able to beat the entire game like this, or will I be stopped by a hard combination of difficulty, skulls, and challenges? Let's check it out. For the first couple of levels, I didn't have all my wheels set up, but I just used a random number generator, and I already got legendary on the first level. And for the challenge wheel, I got a doozy for the first level. No shooting. So for Kyber Station, I would have to beat it on legendary with no shooting, the Angry Skull on, which makes all the enemies fire faster. I thankfully got the Acrophobia Skull, which did allow me to fly, but it actually wasn't the most helpful in this level, and you will see why later. And it was finally time to start. I completely unmapped shooting to my piano so I wouldn't accidentally shoot. The first section wasn't too terrible because of the Acrophobia Skull. I was able to pretty much fly past most of the enemies without too many deaths. But then I got to the hangar, and you cannot continue on until you clear out a bunch of Covenant waves. And with the no shooting on this level, this part was quite brutal. The only saving grace is with this section of the level, there are about 20 grenades up on the balcony, and that definitely saved me big time here, although I still died probably at least 50 times. Okay, got him. And we have a plasma now. Oh, you die so fast in this game! With the Anger Skull that makes the enemy shoot much faster, and a dual-wielding Plasma Elite on Legendary difficulty, you die in less than a second if they're just pumping you. But the Elite finally turned his back, and I saw an opportunity. I might be able to sneak up. I'm gonna go for it. Oh my word. I think that took like somewhere around 2 hours. But this was not at all the end. Little did I know, my hopes and dreams were just about to be crushed. When I entered the next room, I saw it was another room where I'd have to clear out all of the enemies before I could continue through the rest of the level. The problem though, was that in the last room I had tons of grenades, but in this room there was only 3 grenades, which was nowhere near enough. And the only other way of me clearing out the enemies was by meleeing them, which really was not an option because of how fast you die on Legendary difficulty. Was I already defeated? Thankfully I remembered a trick I could try, but it wasn't going to be easy and it would require me to restart the level. But with nothing else left to try, I had to restart. So I was back at the start, but this time I had a secret weapon. Him. I may not be allowed to shoot, but there's nothing against the rules that says he can't shoot. He was able to clear out the first section pretty easily, but he really does not like doing work. So as soon as you get to this spot, he stops pushing forward, and whenever you try to push him forward, he tries to run back here. So I had to painstakingly push this crate forward to block his path so that when I push him past, I can close the way behind him so he can't be a coward. I finally managed to get him up the stairs, and he cleared out this section pretty easily, but he would still try to run back and hide, so I had to continue to melee crates behind him, which took forever. In a normal lasso run, you would have some skulls that help you move objects easier, but I didn't get lucky enough to get these skulls. I eventually pushed him all the way through this section and got back to the first hangar, and after quite a few deaths there, we were finally back to where I was when I restarted. Unfortunately, this was yet another room where Johnson would just hide behind a crate next to the beginning and not do anything, so I had to continue to push a couple crates forward, and then this happened. I just so don't want to die, because pushing those things that far was such a pain in the butt. No, no, my word. Well, that was a fun experience. I'm really glad I did do this again. Honestly, got to be one of the funnest things in the world. Just whacking Johnson 1 billion times. I'm going for it. If I could get him to this crate up here, that would be massive. It would save so much time. And we did it. Unbelievable. It's going to be harder for him to take cover now. Now that it's got a bunch of guys just beating the tar out of him. Okay, I'm going to go for a stick on this guy right there. Okay. See, I'm carrying the team right there. That stick. Oh my word. And I finally got that section cleared out. Why do you want to hide by this bloody obstacle? You don't need it. Seriously, dude? That crate is not your friend. I am your friend. I brought you all the way here. And the rest of the level was pretty much the same thing. Me just smacking Johnson all over the place, letting him take out most of the enemies, me meleeing some, and throwing grenades at others. Alright, I believe that this is the final room. Good grief, has this taken a long time. We're going ham on him. I guess we can try to help out with a nade. Not the best throw, but, oh. I think it's done. I think that's it. I think that's a mission complete. Let's flip and go, baby. Oh, I did not expect that to take that long. I think I started somewhere around 3 and it's like 10 o'clock now. Next level was Outskirts, and we got really lucky on everything. Easy difficulty, we got the Acrophobia skull so we can fly again. And for the challenge, all I had to do was change the key I was playing in. But as you'll see later on, the rest of my luck was, for the most part, pretty awful. Smeagol is kind of in the way, so we're going to have to kind of use her as a headrest. But, oh, there we go. She's going to help me out. And we're going to be done with this level in like such a short amount of time. It's going to be crazy. So the difficulty for the next level. That does not look good. Okay, legendary. Okay, good. Oh, wait. Oh, I thought we got Acrophobia again. Okay, Anger Skull. Eye Patch. Okay, Envy. Mythic. And Assassins. And as for the challenge, hopefully we get something easy here. Otherwise, we could be in some serious trouble. Okay, I'm not sure how this one's going to be. I have to play on time, so I'm going to add a beat. I might try different ones, but I think we're just going to throw in this groover here. All right, here we go. Oh yeah, I forgot all the enemies are invisible. They have like 1 billion health and we're already dead. Okay, this is not going to be easy. And there's going to be times where I accidentally play off beat, but I'm just going to do the best that I can. Okay, this is going to be hard. I'm just now realizing how challenging this is going to be. And one problem is I rolled the Mythic Skull, so enemies have increased health, and that also applies to when they're in a vehicle. So me blowing these up with a tank took a lot of shots into each one before I could blast them. I find it very hard to talk and play when I have to play on beat. It is not easy. Okay, we're dead. You know what? I'm gonna look up a lasso guide, see how they like that. And it looked like I'd be able to drive past all the enemies on the bridge if I used the Warthog instead of the tank, but once I got to a certain spot inside of the tunnel, I had to drive all the way back, pick up the tank, and drive back here again. I don't wanna see you fumigating, illuminating. The trees are all blue. Tell me, what would you... Okay, good. Checkpoint City. It hurts so very bad today. I cleared out all the enemies, but then I got to a spot where I couldn't continue to bring my tank forward, and I couldn't continue to really follow the lasso guide because they had all the skulls equipped, which allows them to do huge boosts over walls and stuff. So I had to try to figure something out for this section. Oh, good. I'll hop on the back. Oh, there we go. Oh, we are dead meat. For whatever reason, I got stuck here for an embarrassingly long time, but I did lay some pretty nice bars. Oh my word, my buddy just splattered me. Let me in the Warthog. You don't know how to drive. Neither do I, apparently. But I eventually managed to kick him out of the hog, murder him, I backed in my hog, and was able to snipe at the wraith without it being able to attack me much, and take out the ghost, and finally got this section cleared out. I know I'm definitely not always directly on beat. I'm trying, but it's kind of a hard thing to do. There we go. We're gonna attack him. Okay, we're apparently not going to attack him. We did a sick jump boost over the bridge. I planted all the grenades I had in this thing and was wailing on this thing for like 5 minutes. It did finally eventually blow up, but I also died and I wasn't about to do that again. So I did a little trick where you go AFK in a certain spot and some pelicans come, and then when you look at these raids, for whatever reason, they just despawn. So that was quite helpful. And then it was time for the Scarab fight, which was actually quite tricky with how tanky the enemies were. They were able to take a direct hit from a rocket and not die pretty much. But I did a little sneaky thing where I kind of glitched inside of the Scarab's firing beam thingy-majigger and They can't see me, but I can shoot them, so I blasted the 2 pilots and won the mission. And then it was time to spin the wheels yet again, and, well, this happened again. Oh my word. 3 out of 4 legendaries so far? Come on, man. Luckily, we did roll a couple of good skulls, though, with Bandana giving us infinite ammo and Acrophobia giving us the ability to fly. And we got no thumbs for our challenge. But we also got the Iron Skull that makes it so when I die, it restarts from the very beginning of the mission. But yeah, if I do die, it resets the whole level. I know there's a way you can cheese it by saving and exiting and going back in, but I'm going to try to avoid that. Uh-oh. Okay, we're already dead. And it resets back to the start of the level. Or not Mr. Bandana. Okay. Yep. Back to choosing him. My strategy for this area was basically just lobbing grenades because I have infinite ammo, so I just threw those things all day. Because aiming with a piano is definitely not the easiest thing to do, especially when I already lose my thumbs, so that makes it more challenging. I did die a pretty annoying amount of times in this hallway, and every time I died I had to save and quit and go back in, which takes a while because you have to wait for the entire level to load again. There's a checkpoint, baby. Let's go. And my strategy for this section was just to use my Acrophobia skull, fly past as many enemies as I can, and because you're playing as the Arbiter on this level, you have the ability to cloak for a few seconds, so I used that to sneak past a few more enemies. I finally got to the bottom after quite a few tries, and I did this. Oh, okay, we died. I'm not scared. Oh. Oh my word. I almost forgot again. That would have stunk so much. And boy did it ever. Apparently I didn't do it soon enough, so I had to restart the entire level again, which was crappy. That hurts. I eventually got back to where I was after many tries, and I was not going to be so careless to when I die not to save and quit. Then I flew a couple miles away and sniped the enemies so they never knew what hit them, and finished off the mission. Throw me a bone game. Watch me get another legendary. You've got to be kidding me. That is the 4th legendary out of 5 rounds. But luckily when it came time to roll for the skulls, we got the Scarab Skull, which basically allows you to shoot a ginormous blast of energy at the enemies that explodes them into a jillion slices. And for our challenge, we got no thumbs again, which wasn't too terrible, just slightly annoying. This level was pretty straightforward, and it being legendary difficulty didn't end up being too bad, because with the Scarab Skull, I was able to annihilate the enemies, and the only problem was it was very easy to accidentally blast myself with it, so I think I ended up dying a lot more to me blasting myself than the flood killing me. And then I got to the part where you're supposed to ride an elevator all the way up, but I remembered seeing a trick where you can go underneath the elevator and it'll crush you and launch you to the top and you'll be invincible for the rest of the level. And the rest of the mission was a cakewalk because I was invincible, so nothing could even hurt me. And I blasted the last boss to finish out the level. And then we were on to Delta Halo. Thankfully I got normal for the difficulty, the skulls weren't too bad, and my challenge was no jumping, which didn't end up being an issue for this level. So I was able to run through this entire mission pretty easily with a minimal amount of deaths, except for these guys who were pretty cracked at the game. Oh my word. And checked another mission off the list. The next level was Regret, and what do you know, we got Legendary again. I didn't realize it at the time, but this would end up being one of the hardest levels yet. And as for the skulls, I got Black Eye, which is a bit of a two-edged sword. It makes it so my shields don't recharge unless I kill an enemy with a melee, but it also allows me to stack up multiple layers of overshield. But for this level, it was more so of a detriment than a help. I also got the Anger, Swarm, Ghost, and Grunt Funeral Skull, which do this. And for the challenge, I wasn't able to use my thumbs again. Already in this first room, I was struggling pretty hard, but this was just a skill issue. I kept trying the same thing over and over again, but really wasn't making any progress, so I looked up a lasso guide. It mostly helped me know the spawn location of all the sniper jackals. So I picked all of them off, but this was another time where I couldn't exactly follow the guide. Because here's where you do grenade boost over this gap and would be able to skip a good chunk of the enemies, but because I didn't have the Spudnik, Boom, or Feather Skull to help do a grenade boost, I wasn't able to do it, at least not with the piano. So I continued through the rest of this section normally and climbed up on a ledge and was able to snipe a whole bunch of the enemies below without too much difficulty. And the ghost skull was actually pretty helpful right around here because I was able to continually shoot the elites without them running behind cover between my shots. And once I cleared out all the enemies below, I headed down and they dropped out 2 hunters, so I used all the grenades I could on them, and when I ran out, I ran back up to that ledge and finished them off with my beam rifle. Also, the swarm skull definitely made these guys tanky. Then it was time for the first gondola ride, so I hopped on. Eventually some enemies come, so I just went with a classic strat of sticking my head in a wall and continually walking forward, and for whatever reason they can't see you when you do this. The gondola finally arrived at the other side, and I did have to be quite careful not to take any damage because I couldn't get my shields back very easily without running gung-ho in and meleeing somebody. I cleared out this room, and thankfully a marine showed up, so I was able to gently break his back for a free overshield. But then I got to this room, and I didn't watch the entire guide for this level, so I was just kind of winging it, and I was stuck here for a long time, trying to clear out a billion sniper jackals along with a bunch of honor guards and buggers. Then I found out that you can actually just bypass all these enemies by taking a certain route that's not even that complicated, but you just walk through these little pillar things, head to the end, jump over the hunters' heads, and you're through. So I wasted way too much time on the spot. Clearing out this outside area didn't end up being too bad. I just had to be a little bit cautious not to get hit because my shields don't regenerate. Then it was time for the second gondola, so I did pretty much the same thing as the previous one where I just stuck my head into a wall. And then I got to this spot, and this is where all of my problems started. At this point, I finished the last guide that I'd been watching, and I didn't realize that it used a strategy that I wasn't going to be able to follow. The guide has you do a rocket grenade boost to launch yourself way up on this ledge, and from there you can enter the boss arena without enemies spawning, so that you can set up the arena to prepare for the fight. But just like earlier, I don't have any of the skulls to help with the boost. I tried a couple times, but I wasn't even close. The big problem with doing this fight normally is that it's not just you versus the boss, but there are 2 grunts, 2 honor guards that try to ruin your life. You might think that you could just kill them and deal with the boss by himself, but this is one of the only spots in all the Halo games where enemies respawn. But because I couldn't do the rocket boost, my only other option was to fight the boss normally. Okay, we already died. Oh, this is gonna be a miserable experience, I'm fairly certain. Bro, this is gonna suck. I'm not gonna be able to do this. Pretty sure we're dead after this. Well, like, we're able to do some stuff, just not a lot. Like, we're just gonna have to get ridiculously lucky. No, I give up. This is stupid. I'm gonna cheat. I didn't want to cheat by straight up using my mouse and keyboard or by lowering the difficulty, so unfortunately I had to save and quit, so I equipped the Spudnik, Boom, and Feather Skulls so I could perform the jump. I also did equip the Acrophobia Skull just so I could fly back to where I was in the level. With all 3 of these skulls equipped, it was a pretty easy launch. So I started the long process of moving all these objects in front of the doors and whatnot to block enemies' movement. However, apparently I should not have equipped the Feather Skull because it made it so I was splattering myself like mad, and there was no chance I was going to be able to move all of the objects without splattering myself. So yet again, I had to save and exit, unequip that skull, and fly all the way back through the level yet again. But now with the lack of the Feather Skull, it was a lot harder to perform the rocket boost, and I had to use a grenade as well to get the lift all the way up there. Perfect launch. Then I meleeed these crates like a trillion times to block a bunch of doors and hallways. And then apparently I walked too close to the room where you're supposed to enter, and unfortunately that started the boss fight before I was ready. I just accidentally started it somehow. I don't really know how. Oh no, let me enter. I know you can get a checkpoint. Oh no. Gonna have to do it all over again. That really sucks. I did not walk through that door, but apparently I got too close to it, and so I did it. Ah, that's frustrating. Finally have it all prepared. I moved a whole bunch of obstacles. There. This is the part I'm really scared of. I need to clear out this room. I think I'm gonna cheat here, because I do not want to have to do all that again. I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna come back here so I can try to get a checkpoint. There's a checkpoint. Okay. And finally, it was time to assassinate the Prophet. And without having to worry about all the other enemies, it was actually manageable. I definitely still died a lot, and some honor guards were able to get into the arena for a bit because Regret dislodged some of the objects I put in front of the doors to block them. But I fixed that, and after way too long, I finally ended this dreadful boss. Oh wait, that's it. That's it. This bozo finally died. Good grief, that level was awful. Next level up was Sacred Icon, and thankfully we got easy as our difficulty. It was amazing to have a nice, easy challenge after that last level, so I was able to pretty much run through this whole level without too much difficulty, and quickly knocked another mission off of our list. Next level up is Quarantine Zone, and thankfully we got the normal difficulty. Skulls didn't play too much of an issue for this level, and the only thing we had to do for our challenge was change our LED color. The first section of the level I just got into a ghost and was just able to drive past basically everything because it was on normal difficulty, so I didn't have to worry about enemies taking me out too much. And then for the last section of the level, you get onto a gondola, and you'd normally fight off a whole bunch of flood, but there's a little trick where you can do where you can climb up this ramp, and they can't see you, and they don't know where you are. So you're just able to sit up there and go AFK until basically the end of the mission. It was a bit unfortunate that I got an easy difficulty on this one, because even if it was on Legendary, it really would not have been that much of an issue. And then we were on to arguably the hardest level in Halo 2, Gravemind. But I think we're actually not going to get Legendary. Let's spin it again. There's no shot we get Legendary on Gravemind. Absolutely no shot. Absolutely no shot. Oh. Come on, I beg to differ. And for the skulls, I got the Anchor Skull, Envy Skull, which is a Lifesaver, Feather Skull, Black Eye, and Boom Skull. And the challenge for the level was this. Nothing too hard. No. No. That is not funny. And starting the level, my enthusiasm was through the roof. So, Gravemind, here we come. That's so ridiculous how fast you die. It's not even funny. It's so stupid. It's like, did they test this part? Apparently they did not test this. To realize that you're dead before you even spawn. I find it funny. Right here. The prophets have the index and plan to use it over your dead body. They know. We're dead. Yeah, we're dead. I don't know. This is not seeming possible if I already can't even get past the first room. Only like 1 out of every 5 lives I live past this first tiny bit. Okay, screw it. I'm using mouse and keyboard for the first little bit, seeing if I can get past it with that. Smack him. Smack him. Come. That is so dumb. When they're going berserk, apparently you can't backsmack them. It might be doable if I lower it to heroic, but even still, that angry skull in the beginning is just... It's just so bad. This is how close it was. Just like 2 more pixels. Funny thing happened here, I was a dummy and forgot to change the scene back to Halo, and I didn't realize it until after I cleared this room. I did complete the first checkpoint with my keyboard and mouse, just so I wouldn't keep getting spawn killed, but after that it was all piano. I did eventually come up with the strategy of popping the Envy Skull, which gives me a few seconds of invisibility. Then I ran in, smacked an enemy, and took cover, and just kept rinsed and repeating this until I cleared out all the waves. I know there's a way that you can do wave skips in this area, but I didn't know how to do that, so I had to clear out all of the enemies. I did get stuck in this outside area for a bit, but thankfully Trevelyan did a lasso shotless speedrun. So I watched that and saw that I could cloak my way down this ramp and do a head glitch in this wall so that the enemies don't see me. Then accidentally jump off the edge twice, but I eventually made it on the 3rd try. I did manage to pick up a brute shot in the first room, and this was very helpful through the rest of the run because the brute shot has more melee damage, so I was able to one-shot the grunts and jackals, and it also took less hits on the brutes if I wasn't able to get a back smack. Then it was time for the prison area. I knew that there was a way that you can skip the entire prison room by melee canceling a brute when you're traveling down the elevator. I tried it a couple times, but I think I had a bad checkpoint, so it wasn't working for me. So I decided to just do it normally. Also, this brute just randomly ran into a crate and died. So I headed down the elevator, and it took me a while to figure out the timing on these brutes, but eventually I got the hang of it. There's tons of grunts and jackals in this room, so I just beat some crates to a good spot, and then I would just slowly wait for the enemies to come to me, whack them, and then that would give me a free overshield, so it actually worked out pretty smooth. And then I headed down to the lower levels and clear out the enemies, and the brute shot made it so smooth. I love this thing. I was pretty surprised. This whole area didn't end up being actually as bad as I thought it was going to be, and I managed to clear it out without too much difficulty. Well, we went on that entire mission to save 1 Marine out of 8, but I guess it was worth it. Not really at all, but okay. You know, this level actually has been kind of fun going in melee mode. Once I got past that first section, I kind of started getting the hang of it. Let's just, oh, we might die here. Oh, those things melt like crazy. Oh, and then there's two guys waiting for me at the other end. Unfortunately, I hadn't got a checkpoint in a while, so this did send me quite a ways back. But going through these areas wasn't too bad with the use of the Envy Skull, giving me a few seconds of cloak, and then I'd just take cover. And there's quite a few spots in this level where the AI is just fighting with itself, so that allowed me to just walk past while they're duking it out. And at last, I was onto the final room. I snuck past these first hunters, but for whatever reason, slightly after that, they turned around and start blasting me. And I do not want to have to fight all the bad guys in this room, so I just kind of walked past everybody. But if you're not quick enough, this door will close, so you have to enter in there about at the same time a couple of hunters are coming out. But I eventually managed it to where I did a little bit of an accidental grenade boost, but that gave me enough speed to be able to get in there before it closed. And after that, you basically go AFK for like 15 minutes, wait for all those guys to finish their fight, and mission complete. For the next level, I got Heroic difficulty, which is so much better than Legendary. And all I had to do for my challenge was change my LED color. And we got the Acrophobia Skull and the Scarab Skull, so we were just going to be able to fly right on through this level. Okay, so we should just be able to kind of like fly through this mission like crazy fast. We're gonna literally be done with this level in like a couple of jiffies. Unless that happens, what was that? I probably could have went faster through this level, but I wasn't sure if I needed to hit certain loading zones, so I tried to follow the intended route a little bit, and I was already done with this level. Yeah, I don't want you guys to freak out, but I have a dead mouse in my hand. It's pretty scary. It was already time for High Charity, and thankfully we got a pretty nice difficulty with only normal. And for a challenge, all I had to do was auto-tune my voice. Okay, now let's get it done. Oh yeah, I forgot, we have the Scarab gun. This should be going pretty well. I don't really know what this sounds like. It's probably gonna sound like hot garbage. I have no idea how much shield I do or do not have. I don't have a lot, I can tell you that much, I guess. Burying the bodies in the ground. I think that we've made it. I think that we're here. We beat another level. Alright, not too bad. Another very quick level right there with the things that we had. It was finally time for the final level, the Great Journey. I was relieved to roll easy difficulty, but for the challenge, I probably got the hardest one, Play with Feet. This wasn't where I'd play piano with my feet, but I'd put some kind of controller on the floor to control the game with, and at the same time, I would have to be playing piano. So I started it up, but I didn't have a controller, so I was using a keyboard and mouse. I did get a little ways, but especially trying to move using WASD with my toes was barely happening. So I eventually just re-rolled the challenge wheel and completed the level with that. But I really wasn't satisfied with that ending, so I headed to Amazon and ordered a controller that I could hook up to my PC. And after about a week, it was time to give it another go. Playing piano and playing the game at the same time required a completely new section of my brain. Anything other than just moving from point A to point B was maxing out my brain's processing power. I guess I'm going to have to take these guys out because I don't know why the door's not opening. Okay, let's try to grab it with my toe, I guess. I don't know what these guys are doing. There we go. I can press B. So I headed inside and tried to skip as many enemies as I could because killing them was not easy at all. And when I did have to kill enemies, shooting was really not an option because I was not able to aim and play piano at the same time. I did my best to always play piano when I was controlling the game, but sometimes my brain just said, nope, not gonna happen. If all I had to do was get from point A to point B, it was actually not too bad and I was able to move somewhat easily, but as soon as I had to kill an enemy, it became a struggle bus. And these brutes outside really got me stuck for a while, and I actually died an embarrassing embarrassing amount of times considering that it's on easy difficulty. I did change up the controls a little bit by switching melee from B to clicking right thumbstick, which definitely helped me accidentally not spamming all the other buttons. But I still wasn't able to really get it done by meleeing, so I thought I'd try a different strategy. So I put my mouse on the floor as well as the controller. The mouse gave me a little bit more control in aiming, but it was also kind of harder to shoot, and I finally finished off those brutes. And from there I just flew to the end of the mission, waited for the scarab to catch up, and we were on to the final boss fight. I actually don't know how this fight's gonna go. I'm guessing not very good. Because I think he one-taps you, even on easy difficulty. Thankfully I thought of a little strategy where I could fly up in the air with the Acrophobia skull, and then by pressing crouch in mid-air, it would freeze me in place and he wouldn't be able to hit me. I got him at the perfect height. I just cannot let my toe slip. Oh no! No, 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 no. Oh crap. My toe slipped. Ah, Jaegers. Okay, there we go. And at last, it was finished. This video did take a long time to make, so if you did enjoy it, I would appreciate a like, or if you hated the video, feel free to give it a dislike.